Hello, YouTube. All right. I just got back. Well, I didn't just get back. I got back a couple days ago from a 1,000 mile trip, road trip. I think it was about 1,000 miles. I went on a road trip with my wife across the state of Florida to celebrate her birthday, as well as our anniversary, as well as making up for the fact that we're not in Thailand. So I decided to go on a road trip, kind of a last minute deal, but we ended up traveling in Good Vibrations, this car here. I didn't really rig it up for camping or anything because we were going to stay in hotels, but I did make sure the inverter was working. For a while I had the battery pack hooked up for cooking, but decided it wasn't worth the extra weight to carry a battery pack to cook rice, since we'd have hotel rooms. You know, we could cook in the hotel rooms. But I did keep the inverter, and didn't really, I actually used it to charge up the USB charger, which is crazy. But I don't think that's what we're here to talk about. But anyhow, I took my wife on a 4-day trip, road trip, that covered probably about 1,000 miles. And we started off in Brevard County, went up to the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Center, which is where, I used to work. It was kind of nice to go up there because I kind of knew what was going on over there because I used to work there. And that was a lot of fun. They had a lot of stuff that, like, it looked like it was mostly empty. I don't know if stuff was shut down or it just wasn't very many people there. I don't know if it's just because we went on a Thursday. We went there last Thursday. But the coolest part of it was actually the Atlantis display. They had the space shuttle Atlantis, the real one, on display. And even though I worked there before, I never got to go inside the Atlantis building to go look at, because I was working. But now I as a visitor, I went over there and got in, and that was neat. You could actually go right up to, stand underneath it. But it was interesting to see the actual space shuttle. And, it's a bit sad because, I grew up in this area, which is known as the Space Coast. And we used to watch rocket launches, including the shuttle launches. And I saw, like, the accidents, like the one with Challenger, when it blew up shortly after liftoff. That was the reason I became a teacher, because Chris McAuliffe, the teacher, died on there, and I was still a senior in high school. It had an impact on me, and I became a math and science teacher, because of that. But it was kind of neat but sad. I actually teared up and cried. I went and they showed pieces of the Challenger as well, Columbia on display, after the explosions. The Challenger blew up shortly after takeoff. The Columbia burned on re-entry because some of the tiles underneath it had fallen off and had been damaged at launch. And the ship burned up when, it was re-entering. So that was sad. But then we left the Kennedy Space Center, and we decided to go up to Daytona. And the reason we're going to Daytona, there was a hotel there that had a Hawaiian luau. So that was fun. The food, you guys want to know the hotel in case you decide to go there. The hotel is called the Hawaiian Inn, and it's located in Daytona Beach, with Daytona Beach shores. And they have a luau there, which is supposed to be authentic, but I don't know. The food was, on a scale from 1 to 10, I give the food maybe a 4, maybe 4.5 at the most. The food we had was, I think they had like pulled pork, and then they had, it looked like just American stuff. So, the pulled pork and, I don't know if it was fries or no, potatoes or something. I was like, I don't think this is Hawaiian. But maybe, I don't know. I know Hawaiians eat a lot of spam, real Hawaiians, they love spam. But there was no spam there. But the show was definitely worth seeing. It had the Hawaiian dancers. They were doing the what do you call the dance with the girls with the grass skirts and stuff? What do you call that? I forget now. We go. I don't know, but they did that dance, and then they also had the fire performers. They would come out with the sticks with the fires on the end, the torches, and then they also had knives that, swords that were on fire. They were swallowing, putting them in their mouth and putting the fire out. That was pretty neat. So you don't have to stay at the hotel, although it's probably easier to try to book the hotel and then get the show tickets, or you can get another hotel around the area and then go to the show for dinner. I had booked, originally I booked the show first, then I went to the hotel to try to book the hotel, and they said they were full. And I was like, this is gonna suck, because then that means I have to get a different hotel and travel from one hotel to the show. But then I went on hotels.com, and surprisingly hotels.com had an opening, had one room. So I got that room, so I got to stay at the hotel with the show. And the hotel, it's kind of run down a bit. It's like really old, probably built in the 1970s. And I don't think it's been renovated. So it looked kind of old. It was nice, but it was a little bit old, grungy. But the show was very good. Food was second rate. So after we left Daytona, we stayed Daytona that one day and night. Then we left there. We decided to shoot across the state of Florida. And I'm going to tell you this: I-4 sucks. I-4 was bad before, but currently I-4 sucks. So it sucked this weekend, which maybe it was more traffic than normal because of Memorial Day weekend. But I was on I-4 Friday morning on through. But I-4 was jam-packed, and they have construction going on all along I-4, and cars kept stopping for no reason. So instead of moving at 70, 80 miles an hour, half the time you're moving at 40 miles or 20 miles or 10 miles an hour. And what should normally be like a 3-hour trip ended up taking like about 6.5 hours or more. So I-4, it was only pleasant for the first like 5 or 10 minutes of it, as soon as I got on Daytona and got on it. But once I left Daytona area and started getting near Orlando, it started jamming up, and then it just jammed up all the way to Tampa side. And on the Tampa side, we ended up going to Tarpon Springs for the sponge docks. If you've never been there, and you're in Florida, it's definitely worth visiting. The sponge docks is where they, supposedly they do sponge fishing there. They get natural sponges from the ocean. So we learned a little bit about that, how they dive for them and stuff. But maybe some of you will know why the sponge docks, they have a Greek theme. My assumption is that the people who settled that area might have been from Greece, and the people in Greece did a lot of sponge diving. Sponge fishing, I guess is what they call it. But we learned about sponges and different types of sponges and how they fish, how they dive underneath to get them. And surprisingly, the sponge dock is supposed to be the capital sponge dock of the world, and it's in Florida. But from what I learned on one of their videos, one of the shows there, sponges don't do well in warm water. They usually get them from cold climates, cold water, because in warm water, tropical water and stuff, there's a lot of animals, and the animals would eat the sponges, because the sponges were alive. They were like creatures, a cross between a plant and a creature. So the animals, the fish and stuff, would eat the sponges. So they say that there's not many sponges in tropical water, but most of the sponges are in colder water, colder climates. So I don't know why the sponge capital of the world would be in Tarpon Springs, which is off the Gulf of Mexico, which is in pretty hot water, it's warm water. But we did that for the day, ate some supposedly Greek food at Tarpon Springs. I don't think it was really that Greek. Yeah, it had like Greek type lettering on it, and it said it was authentic food, but food was kind of small. Lamb shish kebab, which they gave you one stick, and the meat on it was, barely on it. There was hardly any meat on it, so I was like, and then some rice. $25. I didn't think it was really worth $25, but that's what they charge. Probably because it's a tourist area. So it was neat. It was a neat experience, and we decided to eat at that Greek restaurant to try to be authentic. But it turned out it was like, I think it's just more like a tourist type Greek, not authentic. So don't fall for that. But it wasn't bad. But I don't think it was a $25 plate. So then we were going to go on a train ride south of the Sponge Docks on the Tampa coast, on the west coast of Florida. There's a place called I think it's called the Railway Museum of Florida, or the Florida Railway Museum. And they have a train that you can actually ride. It's like a 2-hour train trip. They take you to a little town and you walk around. But we couldn't get there in time. We got out of the Sponge Docks a little late and decided to skip the train ride. So that's going to have to be done another time. One of the things I'd like to try to do is cross-country travel on a train. Thinking of trying to do an auto train so that I can take the train with the car out west and then drive the car back to the east. But I don't know if they have an auto train that goes west. We know there's an auto train in Florida that leaves Sanford, goes north, I think to New Hampshire or something like that. I don't know. It goes north somewhere. But I don't think there's one that runs from here all the way out west. Might have to go up north somewhere and then get on a train if they have an auto train that goes to the west. If you guys know about that, let me know. I'd like to take a train trip. I've been on a train before when I was a little kid in Panama. It's just a Panamanian railway, Panamanian train. There's a pigeon in my driveway. I'm going to go up and see if it moves. The pigeon is just sitting there. I'm going to show you the pigeon. He won't move. So I'm not going to go up to him though. Let me try to show you the pigeon. Shut off the car here. Try to show you the pigeon. We'll switch the. Yeah, he's just sitting there. I don't know if you can see the pigeon sitting there on the driveway. He just gave me this dirty look when I pulled up, like, hey, I'm not moving. So I don't know. But anyhow, what was I gonna say? Let me flip this back. Yeah, we decided to skip the train because it was too late and head out all the way across the Everglades to southeast Florida, Hallandale Beach, Aventura area, Hallandale Beach, because I wanted to take my wife to go horse racing. I don't know if you guys remember when I lived in the van, I had started a circuit across Florida, and I made it down to Hallandale Beach, which had the giant Pegasus, that giant statue, and there was a casino there, and there were horses there. And I went on the, I woke up at the horse track, and all the jockeys came out and were showing me their horses, and that was pretty cool. So I decided to go back this time, not as a van dweller, but as a visitor. And we got a hotel there in Hallandale Beach, and went to the horse race in the casino that was down there. Played a little bit. Didn't really win anything. We lost, but we won back what we lost. Then decided, the next morning to go to the horse race, and that was neat. I used to do dog lead outs, dog racing in Florida. They used to have dog racing, but they don't do that anymore. And I thought the horse races would be similar, and I think they are. But I had never bet on horses and stuff before, so it's all new, and I was trying to look out how to do it. And ended up with the basic bets, which is like you could bet a horse. If you do a basic bet, you could bet that it wins, which means it gets first place, or it places, which means it gets first or second place, or that it shows, which means it gets first, second, or third, Or you could do a combination bet, which we did, of win and show. So, my wife and I didn't stay there the whole time for the race. For all the races, they had like 10 races. We had to leave after 3 races because we had to come back, because she had to go back to work. So we had to cut that day short. So we only bet on horses on the first 3 races. So the first race she bet on, we weren't sure, so we were looking at the odds on the horses and picked the one that had the best odds of winning, which it turns out those odds don't really mean much. Because some of the ones that had the best odds of winning didn't necessarily do well. It's just almost random. So the first 2 races she did that. She picked her horses, which were in the top. The first horse didn't even place. It didn't show. We had picked it to win or show. The second race she picked to win or show, the horse actually did show, so it came in 3rd place. And it turns out for 3rd place, you don't really get much, if you bet to show, which means it gets 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. They only give you like 50%, so you get 150% back. Like if you bet $1, you get back $1.50. So it's not really worth it, but it was fun. It was exciting to watch that horse. Now I did the 3rd bet, which was on the horse I picked. I decided to pick the Longshot. And I think I have a video of that. If you guys want to see it, let me know. I'll try to put it up. But I bet on a horse called Soulful Song. Soulful Song. It had odds of like 30-1. It was like the worst horse on that track. So I was like, you know what? I'll pick the Longshot and see how it does. So I picked the Longshot to either win or show. Okay, so it had to either come in first or come in 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. And that was a Longshot. So they start to lead the horse out, and I don't see the horses coming out at all until, my horse seems like it's lost. Finally, it comes out, and the way they do it, we were in the grandstand, which, by the way, if you go to Gulfstream Park in South Florida, you don't have to pay. If you want to sit in the grandstand or one of the bench seats and stuff, you have to pay for that. Or if you want the VIP areas, you have to pay for that. But don't bother. Just don't bother getting a ticket to go to the horse race. But you can, bet and stuff. Because downstairs in the shade, instead of in the sun in the grandstand, which is where we were, you can watch it on the big screen and you can bet and everything for free. Betting costs money and stuff, but you don't have to pay to get in. So if you want to save a couple bucks, don't bother buying tickets, because the tickets put you, you get either the side seats, which aren't that good, or you can get the grandstand area, which we got. And the tickets for the grandstand were like, I think they were like $8 each. Yeah, so I spent like 16 bucks on 2 tickets. And you're out in the sun, and the Florida sun, South Florida, is like really hot. Luckily, I had an umbrella, and I had that over my wife, but it was still hot out there. So in the future, if we ever did it again, I wouldn't bother buying a ticket for the horse race. I'd just go bet. And also, seeing how low you win, I don't think I would do the straight bets, the bets that we did, because they don't really pay out that much. Better bet would be to do like the trifectas and stuff, the more complex betting. Kind of like you have to pick 3, almost like the lottery. You have to pick the numbers and the sequence that they come in. Your chance of winning is much, much less, but the payout's much, much more. So it'd be better to do it like that. And I wouldn't spend too much money betting. It'd be just for fun. We didn't spend that much, but seeing the payout on hers was only like 50%. It was 150% for showing. That's not really worth it. Now, my horse, Soulful Song. So they start the race, and on the big screen, there's these colored squares with the numbers, for the horses on them. So you can see where the horses are in relation to one another. So it starts off, and I don't even see my horse on there. The square for my horse is not on there. So then the camera's following the lead horses, okay? And then they're all running in a pack, and I'm looking desperately for mine, which is number 7, Soulful Song. I'm like, where is Soulful Song? She's not even on the screen. And then I look, and as the horses are 3/4 of the way around the track, okay, I look at the camera pointing at those horses there, and I'm looking for my horse, and I'm like, I don't see it on the screen. I don't see it with the other horses. And I look halfway across the horse track, and there's Soulful Song all by herself. strolling casually. She's like half a racetrack behind everybody else. And I was like, okay, now I know why they said it was a long shot. So my advice to you, if you ever do a horse race, when they have the long shot, that's probably why. It's probably a horse like Soulful Song who doesn't know they're in a race. It's like those people on the interstate. You know, everyone else is speeding, and that one person is just casually driving and doesn't care that everybody's passing them up. But yeah, she was like half a lap behind everybody else. She didn't even get on the screen. So that was fun. You know, it was an interesting trip. Really busy. I was surprised at how many cars were on the road, but probably because it was a Memorial Day weekend. It was pretty packed, and it was raining, and it was like, you know, going through the Everglades area was interesting. But there was a storm, so traffic slowed down to like, you know, 20, 30 miles an hour, which made the trip seem like forever because you're going on the interstate and you're going really slow. What did you guys do for the holiday? What did you do for Memorial Day? I ended up, you know, leaving. We left on Sunday, got back Sunday night, and then Monday, which was Memorial Day, I had off from work. But I ended up spending the whole day sleeping. I slept early Sunday night all the way through Monday, and I slept through all of Monday, and then Monday night until I had to go to work this morning. So I was making up for all that traveling, because most of the traveling I had to do the driving. So, you know, I hardly slept. But I'm pretty caught up on sleep now. But just was wondering what everybody else was doing. Yeah, Idoji says he's that casual driver. I guess a casual driver or a casual horse rider isn't a big deal unless you're in the middle of a race. I know that if I ever have to bet on horse races again, I don't think I would pick the long shot. You know, I was talking to my boss, you know, because he was asking me about my trip today. Yeah, at work before I left, he was asking me how my trip went. I told him about the horse race, and he said, yeah, there was a Kentucky Derby where somebody had the long shot. It was like 80-1 odds. 80-1. And that one won. So maybe the long shot can work, but in my case, Soulful Song was a sad song. The odds were 30-1 for that horse, and I know why now. So when you see a horse that has a high, you know, the odds of winning are so bad, it's probably because that horse doesn't know it's a racehorse. Anyhow, I'm gonna try to find the video of the betting where you see me watching Soulful Song race, and there's not gonna be much to see because the horse wasn't even on the screen. And I'm sitting there trying to figure out where my horse was. I was like, come on. So I'll try to dig up that video if I can find it, and I'll post it. So stay tuned for that. I hope everybody had a great time this weekend. I hope people took a moment to remember, you know, that Memorial Day is a day to remember our losses, all our soldiers that never made it home. So, you know, I did think about that, and all the soldiers who sacrificed their life for us. So, you know, and then to honor them, we get this day where we actually get a holiday. A lot of people don't have to work, and you know, spend time with your family. A lot of people cook barbecue and stuff like that. But understand that that's probably the most expensive barbecue, the most expensive hamburger, the most expensive grilling that you ever do, you know, in the United States, because the price of that hot dog or that hamburger was actually human lives. American lives. So just remember that on Memorial Day. That's what the day actually is a day of grieving, a day of remembrance. You know, a lot of people forget that and just think it's a holiday. And it, you know, we do treat it as a holiday, but it's nice to have that day off from work. But remember, the purpose of it is actually to honor our, pay respect to our losses, and maybe appreciate, you know, even with all the bad stuff we have in America, appreciate our country and all the freedoms and all the things that we do still have, you know, because people pay for this stuff with their lives. Doji wants to know if that was an older horse or a new one. I think it's one of the newer ones. I think that, they arranged the horse races, I think, by class, like how old the horses are. I think those horses were about 3 years. I don't know how long horses run. I don't know much about horses, but I think those were like the 3-year-olds, 3 to 5-year-olds or something like that. So they weren't that old. I think a 3-year-old horse isn't that old, or a 5-year-old horse isn't that old. Maybe you guys can correct me, those of you who know more about horses and horse races. But I thought it was a young group. But when that horse was coming out, Soulful Song, I looked at it and it didn't look too good. All the other horses have this stance, kind of like when I race the dogs. You can tell the ones that are professionals, the professional racers. They come out and they have this stride. It's like I'm a badass stride. And a horse or dog would do that when it's confident, it knows what it's doing. Soulful Song came out and looked kind of like it was walking funny. So I was like, that's not a good sign. And then, when the race started and the horse wasn't even in the group, I was like, that's a very bad sign. And then by 3/4 when they were halfway around the track, or 3/4 of the way around the track, my horse was like halfway behind everybody, half of the track behind everybody. So I was like, if I bet again, I don't think I would take the long shot. Unless I had a dream that the long shot would win. Anyhow, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to dig up the video of the horse, so you guys, the horse race with Soulful Song, my horse, the long shot, so you guys can experience the agony with me. So stay tuned for that. Take care, everybody, and look out for that video. It'll be posted shortly. Bye-bye now.